Hello everybody and welcome to the Friday practice review for the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix. 215 days after the last race finished, we finally go green again on the track, and 16 weeks in lockdown has pretty much siphoned off everything for pre-season testing, and it was very noticeable. The drivers were very much rusty as they returned to the circuit for practice 1 and 2. Welcome to our windy UK studio as well. We've had to nail down the flags so they don't fall off, and they keep hitting me as well in our rehearsals a few minutes ago. But thank you everyone who joined us this morning for our live stream of the first practice session radio commentary. I believe it's somewhere around 1,500 viewers at the moment, so thank you very much for that. We'll do a couple more around the season as well. So let's take a look around, first of all, where we are in Austria and what the calendar looks like in this shortened 2020 season. We fly over from Abu Dhabi 215 days ago to the first round of Formula 1 2020. It's the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. And we're here twice, of course. Next weekend, we're here for the Steiermark Grand Prix. The weekend after, it's the Hungarian Grand Prix on the 17th to the 19th of July. A week off before the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. A week later, at Silverstone, the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. And then the Spanish Grand Prix in mid-August. A week off before the only two next confirmed races of Belgium and Italy in early September. It's the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix, and this is your Friday practice review. Sometimes you have to pinch yourself that Formula 1 is back, and to do so, I went on the simulator, and let's take a look around the Red Bull Ring here in Austria in Spielberg with Lap Attack. Let's take a look at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. 4.318 kilometres, 10 corners, 3 DRS zones and 2 detection points, and a speed trap on the way down towards turn 4. 10 corners, elevation changes high at turn 3. On board then with the Red Bull of 2019, as you come into the back half of the section, this is where you start your lap. A small downhill section, full opposite lock, blast up the hill, open up the DRS and hurtle uphill towards turn 1, starting the lap, 8th gear flat out. Usually you're at full pace as you brake down 4th gear, flick the car to the right, uphill counter the oversteer. Now there's a long drag and a little kink is officially called turn 2 before you head up the hill towards turn 3 of Rima's 8th gear, brake down all the way down to 2nd gear, tight right, full opposite lock, counter the oversteer and you back down the hill. DRS open towards Sochler's Gold at turn 4. It's a downhill braking zone, so you've got gravity on your side. You hit the brakes down to 4th gear. Carry the car in on the half-banked section, get the power on early at the exit and drift round turn 5. 6 and 7 is next as you pass the famous Bull that's alongside the other half of the track. No fans in attendance, but you're blasting through this section that is always a treat to see. It almost feels like a go-kart track as you're up 7th gear, up over the crest towards Lauda and Rindt in turns 9 and 10. Brake slightly, 5th gear, carry the car towards the exit, little dip into turn 10, get the power on, ride the curb, open up the DRS, you complete a lap at the Red Bull Ring. A tricky but demanding circuit, and one that certainly tests the drivers. Right, before these flags fall down behind me, let's get into what happened in free practice 1 and 2 in the safety of the commentary box. Let's take a look then at what happened in the first practice session of the 2020 Formula 1 season. And it was a pretty interesting session as well. We were broadcasting live radio commentary onto YouTube. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. I believe it's over 1,500 viewers joined me, Dad and Megan for the commentary. So thank you for that. But everybody was a little bit cautious to get going. Everybody wanted to be the tortoise. Nobody wanted to be the hare in the story. So everyone was gingerly going out. But overall, it was the brand new black livery of the Mercedes duo, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, taking first and second in the opening practice session. That was the surprising factor as well. Max Verstappen was third fastest. He was 6 tenths off of the two Mercedes. It was Hamilton top, a 1:04.816. Valtteri Bottas went into second place as well. Carlos Sainz third and Sergio Perez in fifth place as well. An interesting mix for the drivers. Rain fell within the first 30 minutes of the practice session, so that limited the running. Drivers chose to go out on intermediate tyres, however, quickly discovered that the track was drying as limited rain fell, so they went back to the slick tyre compounds, mainly the softs, the red wall tyres, and the hard compounds we saw on Lewis Hamilton as well. But the soft tyres were used by Max Verstappen to finish third, under 3 tenths behind Bottas. Turn 1, he spun with 20 minutes to go. He collected too much damp on the entry curb, and there's a little bit of a dip in towards turn number 1, and he just hit the apex, got it round and spun round. And nothing he could do to avoid that one. Sergio Perez under a tenth of a second, separating him and Max Verstappen from third place as well. That Racing Point, basically a copy of last year's Mercedes, but it still looks very competitive with Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll at the wheel. It should be something to watch. Lando Norris managed as well, ahead of Alexander Albon in P7. 8th place for Daniel Ricciardo. He was on the medium compounds throughout for the Renault. Kevin Magnussen was P9, and then it was 10th and 11th for the Ferraris as well. 10th and 12th, sorry. Leclerc finished in 10th. Sebastian Vettel 12th for Ferrari. They have a major flaw in their car coming into this Grand Prix and the next weekend's race here in Austria for Steiermark, but they have an upgrade that isn't ready until the Hungarian Grand Prix. So it's not looking good that Ferrari are going to be able to bring something into the mix this weekend. Esteban Ocon got his first run back out onto a Formula 1 practice session since 2018 after taking a year out. However, part of his barge board came off on the start-finish straight, causing the first virtual safety car. It was the only safety car or red flag delivered today for Formula 1, and numerous things happened in Formula 2 and Formula 3. Grosjean was last. He had a brake problem with fluid, locked up on when the rain fell on intermediates, locked up, went straight on, had to coast back in limp home mode, and unfortunately for him, a brake issue kept him out for the remainder of the session. Did get out to do a practice start, however, but didn't set a meaningful lap time. It was a fantastic first session, eventful as well to get back into it. Let's take a look at how the final classifications are after free practice 1. So the first practice session back for 2020 is underway, and Lewis Hamilton topped the timesheet to 1:04.816, completing just 42 laps. Valtteri Bottas is second for Mercedes, a 1-2 for them, a 1:05.172. Max Verstappen is third, a 1:05.418. Carlos Sainz fourth, a 1:05.431. Sergio Perez fifth on a 1:05.512. 6th place for Lando Norris, a 1:05.621. 7th for Alexander Albon, a 1:05.701. Daniel Ricciardo is 8th, a 1:05.860. Then we get Kevin Magnussen 9th on a 1:05.907. Charles Leclerc rounds out the top 10 on a 1:05.924. Lance Stroll is 11th, a 1:06.074. Sebastian Vettel 12th, a 1:06.077. Esteban Ocon 13th on a 1:06.270. Antonio Giovinazzi 14th, a 1:06.360. Kimi Raikkonen 15th, a 1:06.365. Pierre Gasly is 16th, a 1:06.404. George Russell 17th on a 1:06.495. Nicholas Latifi 18th, a 1:06.906. Danny Kvyat 19th, a 1:06.943. And Romain Grosjean rounds out the grid. A brake problem kept him out, which is why it's a 1:46.361, his only lap time. So free practice 2 has just concluded here in Red Bull Ring, Austria, and it was a joyous sight. No rain for this session as was predicted coming into the weekend, so we got a clear run at how the drivers seem to be going forward for the 2020 regulations. Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas repeating what they did in free practice 1, a 1-2 for Mercedes in that staggering new black livery. A 1:04.304 for Hamilton. Bottas was just under 2/10 of a second back. Surprisingly though, Sergio Perez went third fastest for Racing Point. That car in race trim looks absolutely fantastic. It was quicker than fourth place driver of Sebastian Vettel. Vettel and Ferrari got work to do, as well as Charles Leclerc. He ended up down in 9th place as well. Renault looking strong. They have 2 of the engines up there. Daniel Ricciardo in 5th place. Lando Norris in 6th. Lance Stroll 7th as well for the Racing Point. Verstappen 8th. With his teammate Albon down in 13th, Red Bull having a lot of problems in that session. Both drivers spinning at turn 1 once again. Exactly the same. There's a dip in the middle of turn 1. So as the drivers going through it, they hit the accelerator right when the rear left was sort of half off the ground in the bump. It spun up too much and lost the car of the rear. Easy to do. We saw a lot of spins in the second practice session as well. Esteban Ocon had a little spin as well. But Danny Kvyat lost there on turn 1 as well for the AlphaTauri. Exactly the same as the 2 Red Bulls as well. Alexander Albon, Antonio Giovinazzi was 14th. Kevin Magnussen 15th. Romain Grosjean 16th. He went for a little trip through the gravel trap as well. The same as Kimi Raikkonen, who was down in 19th place as well. He had a terrible session as well, locking the front up and going straight off the track. Verstappen did that as well at the turn 6 and 7 complex. Russell 18th and Latifi 20th. So Williams not really there or thereabouts, but they're really within 2 seconds. And Latifi, of course, getting used to the car again for the first time driving it since pre-season testing 16 weeks ago. And he is a rookie as well. So everybody is very much taking today as a development as we go forward for FP3 tomorrow, which we're going to see everyone pushing for. Qualifying as well, a true indication of who's quick and who's not. And of course, the race on Sunday will determine the running order for 2020. But let's take a look at the final classifications for the second practice session here at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix. In the second practice session for the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton topped the timesheets once again, a 104.304. Valtteri Bottas was second, a 104.501. Then Sergio Perez put it into third place for Racing Point, a 104.945. Sebastian Vettel fourth, a 104.961. Then we get Danny Ricciardo fifth, a 104.972. Lando Norris once again in sixth place on a 105.087. Lance Stroll 7th on a 105.135. Then we get 8th for Max Verstappen, a 105.215 at Red Bull's home Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, the first of the Ferraris, though, to really have problems this weekend in free practice 2. He's 9th on a 105.298. Carlos Sainz rounds out the top 10, a 105.352. Esteban Ocon, he's 11th the fastest on a 105.415. Danny Kvyat 12th, a 105.443. And then Alexander Albon 13th, a 105.453. Antonio Giovinazzi 14th for Alfa Romeo, 105.608. Kevin Magnussen 15th, a 105.678. Romain Grosjean 16th, a 105.908. Pierre Gasly 17th, a 106.016. Then we get George Russell 18th, a 106.125. Kimi Raikkonen 19th, a 106.278, and Nicholas Latifi rounds out in 20th place on his first day as an official Formula 1 driver, a 107.124. The wind picking up here in the United Kingdom. Hopefully it won't pick up in Austria. Rain is predicted tomorrow in qualifying. Keep your fingers crossed we have a good one and it won't get delayed until Sunday like we've seen before. Right, we'll be back tomorrow after free practice 3 for the Saturday practice review. Sunday we've got 2 shows for you, the race preview and the race review. And then, of course, we've got the Grand Review podcast the whole weekend coming your way on Wednesday. Before Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we do it all again here in Austria for the Steiermark Grand Prix. But here, it's Red Bull, who are on the back foot. Ferrari, surprisingly, could be okay, but Mercedes are dominant. 1 and 2 in for FP1 and 2. Hamilton, 7-time champion. It could happen this year. Who knows? Join us tomorrow for qualifying. From us all here, though. Bye for now.